Hey guys, we're back in Mill Hill for a real test. Unfortunately, our learner didn't pass this one. They had two serious faults, which I'll talk to you about as we come across them. So another learner actually failed on this day, but for the eye test, so it's really important to remember that if you have issues with your vision, make sure you have your glasses with you, or make sure you've done an eye test before to make sure that you can actually see the number plates and read number plates from 20 meters away at least. Because if you can't do your eye test, if you don't pass that section, you won't do the test. Yeah. So coming out, turning right, it's around 3:30 in the afternoon. It's quite busy, but our learner did really well to come out of there. Sometimes it's really difficult to come out of there actually, but he did really well. Going straight at the roundabout. Got that car on the left coming into the roundabout a bit aggressively, but our learner was confident and went through nicely. Coming to the stop sign. So I've cut quite a lot of it out, just the boring bits, nothing's happening, but you'll see the whole route anyway. I haven't cut any of the turns out, just where there's not much going on, but he's done really well to stop at a stop sign and then also to spot that pedestrian on the zebra crossing and stop smoothly and then check both sides and carry on. That was really good. And then taking this left just in this 20-mile-an-hour zone into a 30-mile-an-hour zone, but you can't really go 30 down here because it's quite narrow anyway, so it wouldn't make sense really to just try to do 30 miles an hour down here. And then pulling over on the left in a safe place, which is done nicely. And I think here they're going to start setting up the independent driving using the sat nav, so you can see the examiner setting up their sat nav there. So this is the section where you just start following signs or following the sat nav telling you which ways to go. So here they're turning right to the end of the road, so you can see it's turning into a 20-mile-an-hour road now. And these kind of roads you want to stop. Sometimes maybe go really slowly, check both sides, because you can't really see, because it's such a narrow road. Sometimes you won't see any cars coming from the sides. You want to make sure that you take your time and then turning right at the end here and see it's turning into 30 zone. Normally this junction is really hard to come out of, but our learner got lucky there. It's pretty quiet, so he made his decision to go and he's gone. That was really good. And you can see he's not rushing any of the junctions, which is really, really good. Approaching this roundabout, turning left, and he sees positioned himself very well towards the left side and coming into a zebra crossing. Remember, a lot of roundabouts have zebra crossings next to them, so don't rush to come out of them. Turning right here, positioning himself nicely into that box there. It's very good. You don't want to position yourself too much outside the box and then you're blocking the traffic behind you. But that was very, very good there. Road's getting a bit narrow. He's keeping his speed down on the narrow sections, which is very good. And then turning left, nice speed, not too fast, good turn. Then turning right at the end of the road. So you see there's no lines here, but he's positioned himself nicely to the left because he can be easily confused and go too far to the right. But when there are no lines like that, it's still a two-way road. Just imagine that there are lines separating the left and the right and position yourself properly. Pulling over on the left. So here they might have said pull over in a safe place. You can see there's no road markings, there's no driveways there where he stopped, so that's a perfect place to stop, by a raised curb. So there's a bit of a hill here. Let's see how he handles it. So he's rolled back quite a bit there. And this is where he got a serious fault for rolling back too far. I think he rode back a bit before as well in a different place. The examiner mentioned that he done it twice. But yeah, you want to make sure you got your biting point first before you release the handbrake, so that way you're not going to roll backwards. But unfortunately our learner rolled back quite a bit there. Even more important if there's someone behind you as well. You want to show good control. Okay, turning left into the dual carriageway. Now this is when you want to put your foot down and go really fast, because this is a 50-mile-an-hour road. So you want to pick up your speed as quickly as you can, so that if anybody's coming from behind, they're not going to be slowed down by you. He's done really well to accelerate quickly there. And there's a bit of traffic up ahead now. People are starting to slow down a bit. Then you've also got the G-Wagon pulling in front. So you definitely have to slow down now. This is when you want to start checking the mirrors as well. Even before that happened, check your center mirror especially, just to see who's behind you, so that when you're slowing down, you're aware of who's next to you. So the lights were quite long, but I've cut to the one they were changing, and turning left into the side road here. So you're off the dual carriageway now, onto the side roads, which you have to be really careful of your speed. Just remind yourself that you're no longer on the fast road. Turning left, you got that motorbike that was a bit in our lane, so our learner's done well to slow down a bit there, give him time to move out of the way. So when you turn, you expect anything to be there. Don't just think, yeah, I've got my own lane, I'm gonna turn. Sometimes there are people in your lane, or sometimes the lane's a bit narrow. Yeah, so it's good to slow down loads, just like as he's turning into here. Very good speed, because he could handle anything that was coming through there. Very narrow road, meeting situations here, which means there's only space really for one car to go past, so you have to decide whether to pull in or not. And you see where he got his second serious shortly on this road actually. So you see the other car in front is indicating left, which usually shows you that they're pulling over. So in this situation, you want to back off and not be too close, so you can drive around them once the other car's gone past. Because if they were just moving out the way for the other car, they wouldn't put a signal on, but they had to do that. Alona's done well to deal with that situation there. Okay, so we've got a car coming through. So Alona could have reacted probably a little bit earlier, and then they could have stopped to let that person go on the right, but now they've decided to go to the left. So right now it's very, very tight, because there's not much space between our learner and that little smart car on the left there. Then look what they do now. Try to drive on, but our examiner had to press the brake because there's not enough space to turn there. Plus also he hadn't turned the wheel all the way to the right as well. So ideally in that situation you want to reverse back first. Look around first of all, reverse back until you have a bit of space, and then drive on like that. Yeah, if you haven't got enough space, don't risk it. Even if you think it's quite close, don't risk it. Just reverse back after you've looked around. because the examiner's not going to take the chance of you hitting another car. So that was unfortunate. Turning right into this, it starts off quite wide, but then it gets narrower down the road, and then pulling over now to do the parallel parking. The examiner would have explained it, but I skipped that bit because obviously there's nothing really going on in the video, so I skipped it to when he actually starts the maneuver. So here you want to just go straight into reverse so that people around you know why you're stopped in the middle of the road, and then do your checks. Look for anybody coming towards you, and if it's clear you start reversing, and then when people get close or other vehicles get close like this one, so you see he's done well, just spot that car there, hopefully he's going to stop. Yeah, and he stops for them, but sometimes there's not enough space, but now there is, so the other learner's going to go through. But if there's not enough space, you have to stop, acknowledge them, and then look around again and then carry on. Then once there is space, the other learner or the other vehicle will probably start moving, in which case you stop as well. Okay, so far so good. Spotted another car, all done. It's looking neat. So that's a matter of securing the car now because it's parked it up. That's very good. Then here the examiner will just be telling the learner to drive on again when they're ready. So looking all around and then moving off. It's a great job. Turning right into a main road. This one is a bit tricky sometimes. Can get quite busy, and you can't really see on the left there, but there is a bend on the left there, and sometimes cars will come zooming around the bend and you kind of see them at the last second, which makes it hard to decide whether to go or not. Remember the time was like around 3:30, so there's quite a lot of traffic around now. So this road was a bit trafficy, and he's done really well to stop for that bus because there's not enough space for him and the bus, but then once the bus went, there's enough space for two cars. So it's good to like kind of practice that situation where you can judge whether there's enough space for you and the bus or not, and then if you decide okay there's enough space for me in the car, then you can move on. So he was confident enough to do that, which is really good. Turning left into on the roundabout, and see the 20-mile-an-hour road. This one's a very, very long road, but I've skipped it because there's not much going on. It's just a long road. Now we're near the end of it, and there's still quite a bit of traffic, and it's turning back into a 31. So I've skipped it a bit more onto the roundabout, turning right toward the test center now. Now here it's very, very closed on the right, which means you can't really see properly, so you need to take your time here. Then once you can see a nice gap on the right, you take your chance and then you go, which is what our learner did, and he done that very well. So that's really good. And then it's just a matter of turning back into the test center on the left there, where you get your results. So go in here nice and slowly because it's still quite tight here, and you have to watch out for any cars coming through that small gap on the left there, because there's only one car can fit through there. So be careful, and then watch out for any pedestrians. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. I'll see you guys on the next video. Yeah, take care.